Okay, so today we are going to be talking about mixed numbers. So this is chapter 8, lesson 9, which is mixed numbers. So the first thing that we are going to be talking about is what is the definition for a mixed number. So a mixed number has a whole number part and a fraction part. It represents an amount greater than one whole. All right, so that is the definition of a mixed number. I know it is a bit, but the main things that you need to know is that it has a whole number part and a fraction part. And it's talking about it being more than just the number 1. So let's say, for instance, that you have one sandwich. So you have, here's your one sandwich. This is my best drawing of a sandwich. Oops. All right, there's your one sandwich. Then your friend says, okay, I'm not hungry anymore. Would you like my sandwich? But they've already eaten some of it. So you say, okay, yes, I would like your sandwich. So then they go ahead and they give you their half sandwich. It's not a full sandwich. It's only a half sandwich because they already ate some of it. So if someone was to ask you, how much sandwich do you have? You would say, I have 1.5 sandwiches. Well, that would be a mixed number. So an example of the mixed number would be 1 and 1/2. That is how much you would tell someone, I have 1.5 sandwiches. Here is the whole sandwich, which is this, and here is that half sandwich that your friend gave you. So the 1 is the whole number, and then this is the fraction part of 1/2, which represents the half of the sandwich. So as a whole, you have more than 1. It's greater than 1 whole. You have 1.5. So we use mixed numbers all the time. We use mixed numbers, let's say, to refer to something, or let's say, I'm 5'6". I'm not exactly 5 feet. I'm not exactly 6 feet. I am 5 foot 6 inches. I can write that as a mixed number. Not everything can always be a whole. So let me go ahead and give you another example. So sometimes they will ask you to write a mixed number for the model, and sometimes they will ask you to write a mixed number for an equation. So if I'm looking here, your answer or your instructions would be to write a mixed number for the shaded model. And remember, when you're talking about shaded, it's just whatever is colored in. So I have my square, or my circle, I mean, and I'm going to shade in both of the parts. Then I have my second circle, and I will go ahead and shade in both of the halves. And then I have my last circle. I'm going to just go ahead and shade in one of them. So when it comes to writing a mixed number, the first thing that you're going to do is talk about the whole numbers. So remember, a whole number is the fraction where the numerator and the denominator are the same. So in this fraction, there are 2 halves. So this fraction would look like this. The denominator would be 2 because there's 2 halves. Then I'm writing a mixed number for the shaded. Well, how many do I have shaded in this circle? They're both shaded. So 2 over 2. Another way to say 2 over 2 is 1, which is the whole. This is the whole. When everything is shaded, it is a whole and it's considered 1. So if I look here at my second model, I have the same 2 halves, which would be the denominator, and my shaded would be 2 as well. So 2 over 2, whenever numerator and denominator match, you get the 1 whole. Then I have my last circle. I have 2 parts or 2 halves, which is where I get the denominator for this. If I look at my circle, only 1 half of the circle is shaded. And remember, I'm trying to write a mixed number for the shaded model. So right here would be 1 half. The whole is not shaded, therefore it's not a whole number. So now I must write the mixed number for the shaded model. In this case, what you're going to do is you add up the whole numbers first, and then you add the fraction part at the end. So 1 plus 1 would be 2. I have 2 wholes. And then if I look at my fraction part, this is 1 half. So my mixed number for the shaded model would be 2 1/2. If I go back to my definition, remember, the mixed number has a whole number part. This is the 2, which is the 2 whole circles, and a fraction part. This is the fraction part because it's not a whole number. It's only 1 half of the circle shaded. So sometimes they will give you the example with it asking you to write the mixed number for the shaded model. Sometimes what they will do is also tell you, another example would be write an equation that represents the mixed number. So they will give you the mixed number, and then you have to tell them what are the wholes parts and what are the fraction parts. So for this example, the mixed number would be 3 and 1/4. So remember, going back to our definition, the mixed number has a whole number and a fraction part. So looking at 3 and 1/4, the 3 is going to be your whole number part. But remember, you have to get those wholes from being, you can't just start with 3. You have to do it as if it was a model itself. So the way you would write an equation would be how you add up to 3. So you could do 1 plus 1. These are the wholes. 1 whole, 2 whole, plus 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 will give you the 3. But I can't forget about this this fraction part right here. So what I will have to do is add 1 more for the 1/4. So then this equation represents that mixed number because the 3 is the whole number. So here's 1, 2, 3. Now in the 1/4 or the 1/4 is the fraction part. And that's why I added the 1/4. And that will give you the mixed number of 3 and 1/4. What's very important, and I will show you an example here in your math book to get you started. If I'm looking here, remember, the mixed number, the fraction part of it, has to be about how many sections there are of the whole. You can't just pick any random number for your mixed number. The fraction part of the mixed number comes off of how many make up the whole. So if I'm looking here, remember, it's write a mixed number for each shaded model. So I first need to count up how many parts there are to this figure. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So remember, the parts of the figure is going to be your denominator. Then your numerator comes from whatever part is shaded. Well, if we look at this, every part of this is shaded. So 5 of them are shaded. When your numerator and denominator are the same, that equals the one whole. Now, I'm still going to have, for this figure, I'm going to have the same denominator of 5 because there's 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But let's look at the shaded one on this figure. There's only 1, 2. There's only 2 parts that are shaded. So when I'm making my mixed number, here is my whole, which is the 1, and the 2 over 5 would be my fraction portion. You have to go off of how many parts make up the whole. In this example, there were 5 parts that made up the whole. That's why the 5 over 5 gave you the one whole.